I hear you.
Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of Brand Stories, and I'm your host, Elite. And today on the show, we have a very special guest. Let me say, he's one of those people that you have in your circle that anytime you want to misbehave, you just align yourself because you know, this one is very serious-minded person. This is a very serious-minded person. This is a very serious-minded person. So today in the house, we have with us Mr. Joseph, who happens to be our operations manager at Goshen Media. Mr. Joseph is a Forex trader. He's a pastor. Let me add that one first. I think we have posted a pastor already. You have another pastor. Almost small time. Who knows? We may host another pastor in our next episode. Yeah, he's also a pastor. He's a what else? Well, he's a Chelsea fan. Yeah, that is a very strong Chelsea fan. And he's also my friend. Yes, he's my friend. So give a round of applause for our guest today, Mr. Joseph. So please introduce yourself to our audience.
All right, good afternoon, everyone, or good evening, or good morning, depending whatever time you're listening or watching, listening to this or watching. So, my name
To
is Joseph Felix Nyom. I'm a graduate of civil engineering from Kobla University, graduated in 2022. As our host has said, into forex trading, into data analytics. I also specialize in project management. Um, what else? Okay, maybe on hobbies. I like to read. I love to play chess. I love to play and watch football. As well as this may sound, I like to think as well. So, um, and I love organized and structured spaces because I believe that they offer the best room to thrive in and also grow as individuals. Although, in as much as spaces should be organized and should be structured, I also believe that it should also give room for creativity and innovation. Because if you don't let people, you won't know how much talent they have within them. And this is something that at Goshen Media, we are very, very particular about. We give room for people to take the lead, to try and handle processes so that, I mean, everyone has this sense of responsibility for what it is they try to do. I think that's about that for myself.
you see, when I say that he's one of the people that you have in your circle that you know that you have to be very serious. See the intro that he has given. The intro is literally like a Ben Carson intro. The only difference is that Ben Carson is a neurosurgeon and you're a civil engineer. So yeah, let's go into something. Let's step like 10 steps backward a little bit. How was growing up for you?
Well, in retrospect, when I look back, I think growing up was as normal as maybe a child born in the late 90s, early 2000s would have experienced. And it was a very, let's say, normal childhood, mainly to the fact that I had siblings around me. And yeah, while my parents were the kind of, okay, don't play too much, don't step out when we're not home. So, I mean, they let us have freedom. Like, we didn't see other children doing certain things and be like, oh, what does that feel like to do? Because I mean, the same thing I said about structure. There was structure, but there was freedom. You were allowed to. I mean, we were brought up with the right approach to life. So I believe. So I mean, you're able to discern for yourself what is right and what is wrong. I think apart from that, I mean, I said normal. We played. My dad encouraged us to not just school books. I remember he used to buy novels and other reading materials, particularly for myself and my older brother, because he was trying to ensure we enriched our vocabulary massively. So there were times where we could have mini spelling competitions between myself and my brother.
Hmm. That's
Based off
like
of
you're having a spelling bee at home.
yeah, based
Crazy.
off of maybe books we've read, um, new words. I mean, personally, I think growing up, one of the weird habits I had was always reading a dictionary. I remember I
Wait,
could,
wait, 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 wait. You did what? What were you doing? Good.
I
You're reading
mean,
it.
yeah, I used to read dictionaries. In
Wow.
fact, I could open, I could, most times, maybe I go to the restroom and I'm just sat there rather than just not doing anything. I could take a dictionary in with me and
Hmm.
I'm open, like I could open to, let's say, I and start from section I, word by word, what it means,
Guy,
where it
I
can be used,
I cannot
different
relate.
things, different things like that. And I don't think I'd ever sat down to reflect on that up until this moment.
Hmm.
I think my friends or people who know me say there's this inclination to want to use words that are a little bit not so um everyday words that every other person will use. And I think that's because I'd already fixed them in my vocabulary right from a very young age.
Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed that as well. I remember the first time that we actually had a sit down conversation. That's apart from the hello hi we used to do in church. Like we had a conversation. When I went home, I was like, I don't understand. Is it that the only thing I know how to say is however, what if? Like I was just hearing some words that I would not. It's not as if I didn't know those words, but it's not something that I would normally just. But you were just saying them, using them. I was like and I knew that you were not just trying to impress because I have listened. Like I listen when people speak, and I know the difference when someone is just using a word to just make the conversation sound like they know what they are saying, and this is someone's normal. And I was like, I don't understand. Like it really struck me that day. No, no, no. This is amazing.
Mm. So yeah, I to wrap it up on the childhood, I think that was probably the weirdest habit I had, but it has had a whole lot of benefits for me in this day and age because yes, there's time, but do I have the time as often
The
as I do?
distractions are many.
Exactly. So yeah, I think I did mention something in my hobby. I love geography, or I still do.
Okay.
Um, at that time I used to pride myself in saying I was a walking atlas.
Ah.
So and same thing. Why? My dad still had the hand in it, like pick up the atlas. I saw my brother. Sometimes even at school,
Yeah.
anytime we always played the atlas game. I remember always most times coming up top because I sit down with this thing just like the dictionary,
Hmm.
countries and capitals. What else? Maybe savannas and all those other things. So I really took an interest in geography.
Hmm. Interesting.
So yeah, I think that's about that for childhood. Those were the only two rare habits. Other people may have developed or cultivated them, or I
Hmm.
think I just had to share that.
I think that's a very solid childhood experience because I strongly believe that your parents were not just trying to raise children, but they were trying to raise leaders, students that were self-aware, that were very knowledgeable, so that, for example, maybe they got into an environment that did not allow them to. That's after they have got into maybe university. They got to an environment that doesn't really afford them the opportunity to get access to those resources. At least they already have a foundation. Like I was trying to talk to a friend about reading this year or last year when I was 2020, I was telling him No, I'm giving you books you're not reading. I've I've even given you a pamphlet to read and you have refused to read it. What's the problem? I was asking him genuinely. Now I was because there's a stage you go from being angry to just going back to being okay. What is the problem? So I now asked him what's the problem, and he said something very, very, very important. He said, "My parents never gave me books to read growing up. I never saw my parents reading." Okay, the first thing he said was, "I never saw my parents reading." That was number one. Number two, he said they never gave us books to read. So it's difficult for him now that his own idea of reading is examination. So he's reading to pass an exams or maybe there's a test or something. But outside that curriculum, there's nothing that will make him to read. And I was like, I understand where you're coming from, but it's your responsibility to rewire yourself. But from what you've said, you have a very, very, very healthy foundation. And I think it's very important that reading is imbibed in the life of children growing up, even if it's not necessarily the very serious books like Miles Monroe, even if it's I've forgotten the name of this comic. There's a comic book that has a series. Even if it's those kind of books, just allowing children to just hold something
Yeah,
that
I
is not
believe I
a
totally
tablet.
agree.
That is not a tablet. It's very, very, very important. Very, very important. So yeah, now I want to ask, what is one childhood memory that you have or that you can remember that has really shaped your perspective as an adult concerning life? What is one childhood memory, good or bad? Actually, it doesn't necessarily need to be good or bad. One childhood memory that you have.
Okay. So I mean I picked up something maybe around the age of between the ages of 9 to 12,
Okay.
and I have run with it as I don't know if I would say mantra
Okay.
to guide my life. It's even on my WhatsApp status. 4 L's. I consider them the 4 L's of life. To
The four
live, to
L's.
yeah,
Okay.
to live, to learn, to let, and to love.
Wow.
And how I came about this was, I think there was something that happened while growing up that made me realize how whatever happens in life, regardless of anything, life still keep like it still keeps moving on. And I think I used to love the movie, and I still do have it on my phone. I think no matter all the things I can delete, I don't think I'll
Mm-hmm.
ever delete the Lion King movie because
Wow.
there were so many lessons learned from there,
Yes.
especially when Rafiki told Simba, "Okay, this happened in the past.
This happened in the
What
past.
what do you do with the past? You can either run from it or learn from it."
Yes.
So I think that's also where I picked up the learn from. So, and then another thing that has to do with let, I think this is mainly from the Bible because Bible speaks about how forgive those who trespass against you. Also speaks about how offenses will come. I think that was the scripture I picked up very early.
Mm.
So that was the foundation for let. And then to love, the greatest commandment. Love your neighbor as yourself, and thou shalt love the Lord thy God. So I mean, these are 4 pillars I base my moral upbringing on.
Mm.
So, and yeah, most times when maybe I may have clouded thoughts on what to do, they're always like easy to fall back on because, okay, what situation are you in right now? Which of the 4 L's works out best for you? Which one speaks to where you find yourself right now?
Mm.
And I always try as much as possible to apply it and let life just take its course from there. So
Interesting. Interesting. This is such a very profound philosophy. Sounds simple, but it's very deep. Sounds very simple, but is very, very, very deep. Okay, so you mentioned that you're into forex trading. So I
Mm,
want us to go a little bit, just touch a little bit on that. What is
okay.
your experience as like how has it been for you as a forex trader? What's the experience like?
So forex trading has been a roller coaster of emotions,
Okay.
and ideally, I believe that for to have a very great degree of success in it, the word I just used should be curtailed and really put in check. And the word is emotion, because you trade emotion. Like personally, from experience, I think the early days, how you could, um, how you, let's say, lose at something and you want to go hunting it down, or let's say have some sort of revenge to try and make some rights from the wrongs you've made,
Yeah.
and you haven't sat down to analyze what's caused your failures, and you just keep moving on. Yeah, there's always repercussions for it. And I'm of the school of thought that it's it is a very simple, like if you follow the most simple, the simplest of models, you are consistent and also very determined to ensure that you make it, you have a very, very good chance of becoming successful at it. While others may, I'm not saying I'm an expert or anything, but in the industry, I have a mentor. I think if you look up on Instagram, Tom Camp Coaching, he's a
Okay.
very he's a very sound individual in the forex space. I think has a good number of followers, probably in the hundreds of thousands, even up to a million.
Hmm.
Organizes classes and paid teachings. And unlike a few of the rest of them that are out there, he actually cares about your progress.
Wow.
So I think that was 2024. I came across him, and I remember I was sat down in front of my laptop one day, and I was like, Jordan and Tom have been very, very big blessings to my life, because Jordan's zone was on the aspect of consistency and just facing life every day, showing up every day, about almost for the Forex. So personally, for my journey, I would say it's been a very enjoyable experience. It's something that I would want to do, and I still want to keep doing for as long as possible, because I believe that it holds the greatest returns on investments. While others may say, "Oh, it's gambling, it's this, it's that," it's actually, we fall back to structure again. If you have structure, you have plans on how you go about it. That's what preserves your account and preserves your psychology in the trading space.
That's that's a very that's a very interesting answer because a lot of people have the mindset, or I would say mentality, around forex trading of short term. So they are like, because they are seeing one guy that is posting maybe a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, but one flashy lifestyle on Instagram, and they are like, I want to do this not because of it can sustain my family in the next 20 years, but because I want to match up to what this guy is doing right now. I want to have that life. I want to have that, that fame. So what do you think about people who just jump into forex trading just for the lifestyle that they have seen?
Okay. I think I have the best answer to them is what something Tom used to say. And what Tom used to say was, he says, if you came into Forex looking to make it a get rich quick syndrome, get rich quick activity, then it's not the place for you to be. If you came, because just like life, apart from the results, it's the process in you getting there that actually defines your person,
Very
because
true.
it builds if you come in with the mentality of if you come in with the mentality of, okay, how how can I learn the most high value skill? How can I use it to change my life? How how can I use this to level up? I mean, don't get this wrong. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with leveling up,
Mm-hmm.
but some people paint it as, oh, I started trading 2 or 3 months ago and I'm making so amount of money. And while it may be true, I mean, the end goal of, or the main goal of trading is to be profitable. So, um, I mean, I remember being at a conference sometime last year or 2024, and I think, yeah, that was 2024. And the speaker at the conference, the lead speaker said, well, when you come into Forex, and like whoever you find that works for you, stick with it. If it's going to be trading signals or you learn on your own. Because he said the aim
Used to
is
be
to make
profitable.
profits. Yeah.
Yeah.
But one thing that, I mean, just like almost every human has vices that like disturb them and all of that. One thing most people struggle with in the trading space is, I don't want to say greed, but um, I don't know another word to like to
They want to have it immediately.
yeah, no, not just having it immediately. They like some people may get something, but
Yeah.
it's not enough for them, and
Oh,
they
they
keep
want to keep
chasing more,
keep chasing. Okay, they're in
and
a rat
the
race.
yeah, and the chasing more ends up to them losing accounts because yeah, I've heard so many examples. I mean, from conversations with friends and other people who have been in the journey, you could have set out, okay, I'm going to use some forex terms, and you could have set out that I want to get a profit of 760 to 70 pips from maximum 2 trades today, and I'm fine. And there's this thing called fear of missing out. Let's say you've gotten in on a trade and you've gotten to your desired target, and you're taken out of the market because you've set a take profits,
Hmm.
and you jump back in, forgetting that there's the reason why you set your profit level or profit margin at where you set it, and you jump back in and you incur losses. Probably because after the market got to where it had taken you out, there may have been some retest or some struggle between the buyers and the sellers at a particular point. And you get back in saying, oh, this thing is moving in my direction. And sometimes you feel losses. I mean, this is what I'm trying to say about the whole greed factor, because you have
Yeah.
gotten, I mean, there are people who get, like, who trade, and like, if you trade, people trade with, okay, building it consistently and as steady as possible, you will still eventually get to your goal. But I mean, there's this thing about our generation that wants things very quick and very fast. I remember I used to have the same mentality until a workshop session we had at Goshen Media sometime in, I think that was maybe July or so, with Mr. Tia Alabi. Something about that he said, something about chasing, like, your aim should not be speed, your aim should be growth and
Growth.
progress.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's something that, I mean, from various aspects of life, you would always pick up things that will help your psychological and mental growth. So yeah, I think that's all I have to share
That
concerning.
that's a very interesting perspective. I just hope that our listeners would take that, seriously. So now I want to go from, life, and I want to go to something a little bit different. I want to ask questions on an area that's a little bit different. So for our audience that are not aware, uh, Joseph is a PK. So for people that don't know what a PK is a pastor's child. My pastor's child, actually, my pastor. So I want to ask, what is life as a PK? But before I allow you to answer that question, I'm going to tell a story. There was a pastor's wife that was having a talk to mothers, and she was saying that, do you know that there was a day that her son was misbehaving? And this, her child is, let's say, 3. The boy is 3, and a 3-year-old misbehaves. But because he's a pastor's child, he said that that day you see the way church members were just lashing out at him, that why should he do that? Doesn't he know that his father is a pastor? Do you want to disgrace your father? And she was like, this boy is just a baby. Like, and you know, that experience shaped my mindset to give grace. Because even before that time, I personally had some pastor children around me. So when maybe they do something, I'll be like, even you are misbehaving. In my mind, I don't say it, but in my mind, I'll be like, even you are following to misbehave. You that your father is a pastor. We that our parents are members, we can misbehave. But that statement really shifted a lot of things in my mind. So the pressure of when I see pastor children, I feel they should be better than God. They should be more. They should be more Catholic than the Pope. It just shattered. So, what's your own experience like? What has it been like as a pastor's child growing up and even up to your where you are now?
Well, yet again, I think my parents did their very best. My mom, in particular, used to say, um, it's not just about. I mean, yes, life is everything in life has great foundations on the spiritual realm. But something my mom used to say back then was not just about being able to know how to pray or read your Bible. She used to try as much as possible to ensure that we had a balanced life, that we
Okay.
weren't awkward socially, we weren't awkward emotionally, and all of that. And the honest truth is, um, I want to believe that I think for all my siblings, we all embrace like the culture of having a good life, like living the right way. Because I mean, you know how right from when you're small and all you know, all you are taught is, and all your thoughts is, oh, um, you're obedient to your parents and all of that. I mean, I'm not saying that we didn't have our shortcomings or excesses or any of that, but I think the major thing, um, uh, there was this I think we never struggled with one thing we never struggled with that maybe some pastor children may have issues with is maybe relating with the congregation or members in the congregation or other children because these are pastor children. We don't like relate to them, that kind of thing. But I don't think it was ever the case because I mean, yet again, my mom because not as pastor children where my mom used to take us to birthday parties, you know. So like we were relating with children, like we used to visit our cousins. Like we when I said normal childhood,
That a
everything,
normal, yeah.
anything a normal child would have done, regardless of because she always said this thing, work out your own salvation with fear and
Yeah,
trembling. I
and
think that
trembling.
is it's a scripture. And what it meant mainly to me was, you know, what you're doing, your parents could be on at the altar.
Mm-hmm.
What matters most, more than the whole sanctimonious courage you may give to yourself in church, is your own salvation. Like, do you really know God? What's
Mm.
your relationship with Him? How
Okay.
close are you with Him? Does your lifestyle? So, I mean, like, I don't think I would have had it any other way because I used to sing. Myself and my sister used to sing this particular song. Yeah, I don't know if it was Pastor Chris who wrote it, but the song goes, "Let the world see Jesus or heaven in your eyes or in your life."
Mm.
So I mean, we used to sing it then as like children and passionately and all. But growing up and studying the Bible more, it comes on like it dawns on you that okay, for it to say let the world see, like Jesus was he was he was balanced. Let
Yeah.
me put yeah, he had a balanced life.
Mm.
When I mean you look at his when his mother in the miracle of turning water to wine, that was a wedding, a social function he went for. So it's not just about like it's about being. I think I never really faced or we never really faced the tag of pastors' children or like any of that because first things first, as human beings, we were balanced in all aspects. Like emotionally, we could be there. We knew how to have fun. We knew how
Yeah.
to if we came to making jokes or running around or playing. I mean, like even my younger brother, my sister, we played like playing was normal. So I mean, it's it is quite it's quite sad the tag that is given. You mentioned a statement, more Catholic than the Pope. I think the expectation comes with okay, um, yeah, since your parents are there, you should
You
be there
should
as
be,
well.
you automatically have that
Exactly. But
expectation,
everything still falls down to your own salvation with fear.
salvation.
So what is your decision?
Do you want?
No, just like something a very, very revered man from our father says, he said, no man can make decisions for you that if you decide and no one can confer any achievements on you. So if your father was a boxer or the world heavyweight champion and you as his son, you don't do the necessary things to ensure that
You can't be that as well.
you can't be that exactly. So
You
if
have
your
to.
friends, whatever degree your friends are attaining or heights they are attaining, God, if there is no conscious effort or decision from you to get to the same height and improve those heights,
Hmm.
then I don't think it would be possible.
Interesting. Interesting. That's very, very interesting. Okay, now this question is a question maybe I don't know, you might have thought of it before, but as I was just writing out the questions I was going to ask, it just came to my mind and I was like, hmm, this is a very interesting question. But the question is, how has being raised by high achieving parents shaped you? Now, the reason I'm asking this question is because I have a lot of friends. Like when I say friends, not like friends, but a lot of people around me, and I observe not just them, because many people around me, I have access to them. I have access to their parents by I don't know. There's something that God always does for me is that once I meet a person that's going to be my friend after a while, except your parents is not within that environment, but there's no how I'll meet one of your parents
Mhm.
and we'll have a conversation and all of that. And I have conversed with your parents. They have been my pastors for years, and I know them to be very high achievers. In fact, this year or last year, I was having a conversation with your mom, and she was just telling me, I want to do this. And I was just like, God, imagine if this person was my mom, how would my life be? So how has that affected you as a person, you know,
Well,
being in an environment?
um, I think it places on you the need for self responsibility. So my dad used to say this thing. So whatever my dad was of the school of thought that whatever you want to accomplish in life, that education is your meal ticket
Hmm.
to getting there. So from school, I mean, there was always that push from them. Oh, you came out like this. This was your result. It can be better.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what did you do wrong? Are there any challenges you're having? So they're always, I mean, the right environment was always created. I do remember times where, um, back in secondary school, my dad, I, I think being high achievers, they know the sacrifices that have to be made. So I remember then in secondary school, not that we weren't bright or anything, or that we were struggling in academics. So they went the extra mile to get us um, home tutors or lesson teachers, as the case may be. Apart from that, so many things, like so many tasks that we would do that would maybe get in the way of bringing out the best academic outputs from us.
Yeah.
They'll be taken off our shoulders. So I mean, like uh, seeing how they did it, it kind of made us understand how, okay,
It's
we need to
possible.
keep we need to keep ensuring that the right environment is first and foremost created, and then with the right mindset you can achieve. So I think that's one thing I picked up from them as high achievers, because sometimes, yeah, you could say, oh, the pressure from them could be a lot and all, but you ask yourself, if you aren't giving it your all, then what are you doing?
Maybe. That's
So
true. That's true.
yeah,
That's true.
so
That's true.
at the onset, it was always it could have been okay. It's their push, it's their backing at you. Oh, why are you not getting this done? But then with time, becomes part and parcel of you, where you're like, okay,
I need to
um,
do this.
yeah, I need to do this. Like, why am I slacking? I don't
You
know if that
begin to
makes any sense.
caution. Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
You begin to
you
caution
become,
yourself
yeah, you
internally.
become exactly. Back to the whole thing I said, self responsibility. So you, by yourself, become responsible for your actions and your and everything that you do without little or no
Any
supervision. So
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I strongly believe that one of the legacies a parent can leave for their children outside physical properties is a mindset that sets them for life. So even when they are not there, they have, yeah, an internal check system that enables them to do the right thing at the right time without having to have push or having to have a push. Okay, so we are going to be rounding up this episode. But before we round up, I want to, you know what's your life scripture. I think you've mentioned this to me before in passing. In one or two conversations you have dropped this, but our audience have not heard that because you're a person of faith, as I mentioned at the beginning. You're a pastor yourself, a pastor to be. But me, I've already saved your number as pastor on my phone so that year me, I'll tell people that I was the first person to save him as pastor. I'll be telling you that it's all like
well,
I was the first.
I personally don't agree, because I am of the opinion that we don't need to have the title of
Don't
pastors.
worry, don't worry.
No, 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 no,
The
no.
people before you said all these things, don't worry. You're not the first to say this. You
Oh
know,
no.
Pastor Leke used to say this that year. Like, if I can do the work, is it Pastor Leke now? Now he's PSF pastor, so don't worry. Time will tell. Okay, so as a round up, what's your life scripture?
Hmm. Um. Well, sorry for the brief moment of silence. There are a lot that come to mind right now.
Okay.
I mean, like Matthew 6:33, Colossians 4:23. There are quite a few that come to mind, but I think if anything, it's going to be that one that says, "Whatever the hands find that to do it."
Do it well.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I mean, like, it gives me the consciousness of how I need to put our excellence
Okay.
in all I do. So
Yes. That's beautiful. That's a very thoughtful one. I like the fact that you have so many. to pick from. Like, it's not just one scripture that you have like 2, 3, 4
I mean,
life
because
scriptures.
like life is not just, there are different aspects now.
There are different aspects,
So
yes.
exactly.
And
I mean, maybe the one that governs or covers it all, and it falls from memory as of now, but yeah, um, I think that's it.
okay. So considering that one of your greatest or best hobbies is reading books, so just tell us your top 5 books in no particular order. Because if I say you should put an order to it, you may struggle. Because even me, I cannot. Like last year, I was telling myself when I went to the bookshop yesterday, I was like, if I want to say my best book for last year, I'll say The Alchemist. But then again, I now remember that I read the book in January. I even forgot about that was another very interesting book. So, in no particular order, what are your top 5 books?
Okay. In no particular order,
Yep.
I know the Alchemist comes in there.
Mm,
Rules of Alchemist. I can't remember the author's name. Rules of Life by Richard Templar.
okay.
Um, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Hmm. I think there's going to be a problem fitting the last one in, but it falls between How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie,
That's a powerful book.
or The Richest Man in Babylon.
That's a powerful book. Yeah, yeah. I think both of them can share that space. Both of them can share that space. In primary school, sometimes they will say that 2 people took third, 2 people took second. I don't know that kind of. So they still share that place because I
Mm.
don't think I can pick any over the other. How to win and influence, how to win friends and influence people is is a very powerful book. I read it last year. Richest Man in Babylon is like second to my Bible. So yes, the rules in that and the rules in they are, should I say, they are a twin to each other, but in different areas of life. So that
Mm.
these are very powerful books. I think the only one I've not read yet here is The Rules of Life. I think I'll add that to my read list for the year. So we've
I,
come to the
Personally, I don't even think I was meant to mention the book because one of the rules in
yeah.
the rules of life is you don't talk about the book.
I don't understand. What does that mean? Why would you talk
Yeah,
about?
it's. I think that's rule one. Keep it under your heart. So,
Okay. Oh, so,
um, and I'm just going to leave it there because if I speak further, I'm disobeying the rule.
hey, it's okay. Don't worry. It's fine. I will get the book and also know the rule. Okay. So we have come to the end of this episode, and we always close out our episode with a free fire section. So we are going to be asking you questions. That's you have only 5 seconds to answer this or
Mm,
that, this or that, this or that, this or that. So the first question is Marvel or DC?
that is a very difficult question to
Five
answer.
seconds. That's it. 5 seconds.
That is a very difficult question. I mean, I love Batman. I think he's my most like. I love the Bruce Wayne character, but then I love Marvel movies. But I think because of the love for Batman, I'm going
Okay.
to go with Marvel.
Hmm. You have deleted this you. Okay. Christmas or Easter?
Oh, I'm gonna go with Easter, and mainly because my birthday usually falls
Right.
around Easter period.
Fair enough. Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram all day long.
Uh, Fried eggs or boiled eggs?
Hmm. Well, that's
Boiled eggs. Okay. If you could delete one social media app for the rest of your life, you wouldn't see that social media app again. You wouldn't have access. In fact, it would be non-existent to you. Literally, what social media platform would you say goodbye to?
I think easiest one is X, Twitter.
Okay. The toxic environment or why? Like, is it just or you?
Um, mainly because I mean, I'm there, but I'm not there. I don't know if that
Mm.
makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does.
So
It does.
I don't have a scrolling habit. And I mean, to make the best use of X, you need to have a scrolling habit. So
Okay.
I just need to like pick information from
And you step out.
here and I step out.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, we've come to the end of today's episode. And first of all, I want to say a very big thank you to you, Joseph, because I strongly believe in something that despite a person being your friend, there is a lot you can learn from them. There is a lot of knowledge. So I always make sure that even if someone is working with me as a teammate, as a friend or whatever, I don't get familiar. And truly I've really, really learned a lot from what you said today, starting from when you even talked about to learn, to live, to learn, to let, to love. Like, come on, that's something very thoughtful. Your experience, like how do you like reading dictionaries and all of that. That's a very interesting that's a very interesting childhood experience. So to close out,
Trust me, I know why I said it was weird because it was like an obsession. I promise you.
as like seriously, like you literally read dictionaries, like you were heavy on it.
I kid you not. In fact,
Wow.
to the point where even when we were doing French in junior secondary school, and we were
Yeah.
made to
Oh,
get French
that
dictionaries,
dictionary, you were reading that one as well. Oh my god.
that's
Ah,
where I think that's another thing I didn't. That's where the whole okay. Um, I think to a good extent, basic words in French and their meanings.
hmm,
So
that's
yeah,
crazy.
because even the French dictionary had a French side and an
And
English
then
side.
English side, yeah, I remember had it French, and I think the front is the French, then behind it is the English, something like that. I can't really remember, but I remember
Uh,
that small.
and mind you, my dictionary was not the small one, the
Oh, you got the
biggest
big
size of
one.
Oxford.
Oh
Yes,
Jesus.
those
Oh
big
Jesus.
ones.
Jesus,
So
Jesus.
more words, more. I
More
mean, you could have
child.
one word that has 3 to 4 different meanings.
Can you imagine? That is
Yeah,
that is massive exposure. That is massive exposure. That is star. I can't even begin to imagine myself at that age. Though I had a little bit of that experience, but not that in depth. So it was like when I was very, very bored, like there was nothing. Maybe I've watched everything that was in the house. I've watched all the collections from this, and then I now said, okay, let me just flip through this thing now. And flipping through, I won't even last for like 5 minutes. I've already gotten something else to do. But yeah, I
yeah.
think that was a very nice experience. So what do you have to say to our audience, considering the fact that we are starting the year? A lot of people are pumped up, some people are sad, some people are confused, to be very honest. Some people are not even sure, some people are even afraid, for the year 2026. So what would you like to say to our audience as we start the year to close out?
Okay. Um, what comes to mind is stay grounded because there's this emotional rush of excitement that comes with resolutions being made every year. And you ask yourself, why is it that maybe you look in March or April and your resolutions are out the door? So stay grounded, build systems, be consistent. Whatever you've set in mind to do this year, whatever the tasks, goals, challenges you've lined up, show up every day, as difficult as it may be. And yeah, um try to cleanse yourself as often as possible. Emotionally, from social media, mentally, take walks, just do things that like basically detox your mind and all. Because you ask yourself where does it come from? Mainly comes from the fact that there's too many things going on at the same time up in our heads. So yeah, I think that's what I have to say.
Hmm. That's a very powerful, short but powerful motivation, or should I say advice, to the audience and even to me as a listener. Okay, so there you have it, guys. This is come to the end of today's episode with Joseph, our operations manager at Goshen Media. But before I close out, I want to remind us to like, share, and subscribe.
And
Very,
that's true.
very
Hit the like button.
hit the
Hit
like
the
button, hit the subscribe, hit the follow button, wherever you're listening from, whether it's on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Music, wherever you're listening to us from. Please like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next episode. Bye, guys.
right. Thank you very much for having me, Eli.
Bye.